right, into ourselves, with our, into this world, you can just remember Krishna and relate to him, right? So this is why Krishna gives the instruction, right? Always think of him, right? Or man mana. Always think of me, Arjuna, Krishna says. How to think of him? That's why Krishna explains Vibhuti Yoga. Now, whatever Krishna has explained in Vibhuti Yoga, Krishna displays it in visual form, right? So this is
Can make you host it then.
it's okay. So this is the visual representation of the 10th chapter. Okay, so whatever he said, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that, right? So Krishna will show in this chapter visually. Okay, it's called Vishwarupa Sandarshana Yoga. Okay, it's not just Darshana, it is Sandarshana because Arjuna interacts with the Vishwarupa. He doesn't just see the Vishwarupa and sits quietly, right? Sandarshana means interaction or interviewing, right? So today's chapter, Vishwarupa Sandarshana Yoga, or the universal form of the Lord. Okay, and everything is yoga because it is connecting to the Lord. Yoga means connection to the Lord, right? So chapter begins with Arjuna's comment. Okay, so Arjuna says, what does he say? मद अनुग्रहाय पर मद one second, there's some issue. Are you able to see the screen, all of you?
Yes, Mataji, you're able to see the screen.
Why is this happening? One second, just give me a moment. Okay, Hare Krishna. मद अनुग्रहाय परमं गुह्यमाध्यात्मसंज्ञितं यत्त्वयोक्तं वचस्तेन मोहो अयं विगतो मम. Arjuna said, I have heard your instruction on confidential spiritual matters, which you have so kindly delivered unto me, and my illusion is now dispelled. So Arjuna is actually making a comment here, right? He says, I've heard your instruction on confidential spiritual matters. So the most confidential knowledge, in which chapter Krishna gives the most confidential knowledge? Anybody?
9th chapter.
Ninth chapter.
Rajaguhya.
Rajavidya Rajagushya. Very good. Ninth chapter, Krishna gives the instruction, right, on the most confidential knowledge. And in 10th chapter, Krishna talks about his, vibhutis, how he has pervaded the entire world. Now, in the 11th, so Arjuna begins the chapter by saying, you have instructed on the most confidential spiritual matters, and you have also delivered. So, with that confidential spiritual knowledge has completely dispelled Krishna's illusion. Arjuna's illusion. Right? Now he requests. So Arjuna now requests, O lotus eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity as realized through your inexhaustible glories. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see here before me your actual position, I yet wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. Can you imagine? So, this chapter talks about two more elements. So, five things Bhagavad Gita talks about. Okay, I think we've discussed this earlier. Ishvara, Prakriti, Jiva. Right? Ishvara is the Lord, that is Krishna. Prakriti is the material nature, and Jiva is us, right? We ourselves, the soul. And then the two other elements Krishna will start touching upon in this chapter, that is Kala and Karma is also discussed already, right? In second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter. Now, in this chapter, Krishna talks about Kala, right? So, these are the five elements Bhagavad Gita describes, or the five subjects of Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Now, Kala is the element that Krishna talks about in this chapter. How he comes in the form of death and destroys everything in the material world, right? So, Krishna pervades the entire universe. We already saw that in the last class, right? The Vibhutis. And Arjuna is requesting Krishna, I want to see how you pervade this entire cosmic manifestation. Can you see? So, Arjuna is asking, you have entered into this cosmic manifestation, yes. Yesterday you explained, but I want to see that form of yours, right? So because Arjuna requests That's why Krishna shows his universal form. Okay? If you think that I'm able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that universal self of yours. Right? So, what is Arjuna saying? If you think it is good for me, if I'm able to, if I can see, or if I'm capable of it, then you show me. Right? So, Arjuna is requesting, he's not demanding. What we do is actually opposite. We go to the temple and we demand. We go with a long list, right? God, give me that, give me this, give me that, give me this, right? And we don't request, we demand, right? But here, that's the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee like us, ourselves, right? So Arjuna requests Krishna, if you think I can do it, if you think I can see your form, then kindly show me that form, right? So the blessed Lord said, my dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, behold now my opulences. So now Krishna starts explaining hundreds of eyes, hundreds of heads. So Krishna shows him the universal form, right? After Krishna shows him the universal form, Krishna starts explaining. See, behold, see my hundreds of heads, hundreds of eyes, hundreds of tongues, hundreds of ears, hundreds of faces, hundreds of bodies. You can see the entire world. Whatever you wish to see can be seen all at once in that form, right? So Arjuna sees the oceans, the demigods, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, Lord Chandra, Lord fire god, Varuna Dev, every god in this universe he sees. The demigods, Arjuna sees the demigods as parts of his body, parts of Krishna's body. Why? Because Krishna hands over. He's like the cabinet minister. I mean, all the demigods are like cabinet ministers. Okay, Krishna is the prime minister. So these are all the parts of the Lord executing the Lord's, universal affairs that Krishna has to execute, right? But you cannot see. After displaying the universal form, that's when Krishna says, yeah, I'm showing you the form, but you cannot see my form with your present eyes. So why Arjuna cannot see the universal form when Krishna is showing? Any answers? Why? He's showing the form, no? So he should see, no? Why he's not seeing? No one knows? It is spiritual. Yes?
We cannot see with our human eyes
Yes.
With human eyes. Why?
We need
because
special
we are
power to see the
limited.
light.
Sorry?
We are limited.
We are
Only a part of electromagnetic spectrum can be seen.
Haribol. Yeah, so we are limited. Human eyes, charma shakshu, or the skin eyes, okay, cannot see this form, right? That's why Krishna says, yeah, see, I'm showing you my form, you're not able to see, right? Because of Arjuna's limited human eyes, or the charma chakshu, or the skin eyes, right? So Krishna has to bless Arjuna with divine eyes, okay, or divya chakshu, because the form is extremely spiritual, and it's entirely spiritual, right? The you like atheists say, no, like atheists or non-believers, they say, oh, God is there, he's everywhere, no, why I'm not able to see? Right? Because we need to get the ability or capability, right? We need to earn that qualification. We cannot directly see him, right? So even if God is right in front of them, Shakuni, Duryodhana couldn't see Krishna, right? So to see Krishna we need spiritual eyes, not spiritual. To see Krishna we need eyes of love and devotion, right? Premanjanachrita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yanshama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Right? To see the Lord, premanjana, prema should be there, the eyes should be smeared with love and devotion. Then we can see the Lord as he is. Otherwise, that's why Pandavas could see the Lord, Kauravas couldn't see the Lord, although Krishna was present right in front of them, right? And this form is extremely different. It's not Krishna's personal form. Through love you cannot see spiritual form. For spiritual form you need spiritual eyes. Universal form is completely different from Krishna's personal form, Okay, we will see that at the end of the chapter, how it is different. Okay, so to see Krishna in his personal form, we need eyes of love and devotion. But to see Krishna in his universal form, we need spiritual eyes. Okay, so spiritual eyes means Divya Chakshu. So Divya Chakshu, transcendental eyes, Krishna had blessed upon Arjuna. Okay, only then he could start seeing. Sanjay उवाच एवम् उक्त्वा ततो राजन् महायोगेश्वरो हरिः दर्शयामास पार्थाय paramam रूपमैश्वरम्. Sanjaya said, O Krishna, speaking thus, O King, speaking thus, the Supreme, the Lord of all mystic power, the Supreme Personality of Godhead displayed his universal form to Arjuna. So who is Sanjaya? What is he doing? Anybody knows? What is happening in the picture here? Who is Sanjaya? Who is this person sitting next to him? What is happening?
Sanjaya is telecasting the entire battle scene to Dhritarashtra.
Dhritarashtra. Why?
Dhritarashtra, they are not on the battlefield, and Dhritarashtra is blind, and Sanjaya is given special chakshu, and he is able to see.
Yeah. Who gave him that special transcendental Divya Chakshu?
I think Vyasa. Vyasa.
Vyasadeva. Exactly. Sanjaya is a disciple of Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva gave him this divine eyes, wherein they are sitting in the kingdom, in the palace they are sitting, and Sanjaya is able to see what is happening in the battlefield, which is a few kilometers away, in fact, right? But he's sitting in the palace and he's able to see, right? So through the Divya Chakshu, Divya Drushti, it is called, right? Just this the way Arjuna got Divya Chakshu right now from Krishna to see the universal form. Vyasadeva gave him this Divya Drushti long, long ago to commentate, right? To explain the war to Dhritarashtra. Okay. Arjuna saw in that. So now Arjuna starts seeing. You can see in the picture, right? What kind of form, universal form it is. Everywhere, the entire sky is filled with just Krishna. Everywhere he sees, he can see faces, heads, bodies, hands, necks. Can you imagine? Right? So Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, right? It was all wondrous. The form was decorated with divine, dazzling ornaments and arrayed in many garbs. He was garlanded gloriously, and there were many scents smeared over his body. The all magnificent, all expanding, unlimited. I mean, it was all magnificent, all expanding, and unlimited. This was seen by Arjuna. So Sanjaya is explaining all this to Dhritarashtra. What is Arjuna seeing? Can you imagine? Right? Wherever he sees, he can see faces, hands, legs of the Lord, right? Every form of the Lord is having a nice jewelry set, right? You can see in the picture, right? Every form, these are all demigods. Okay, all these demigods are also having the jewels that Krishna is wearing, the crown, the necklaces, and everything, right? Dazzling ornaments. See, it's given here, and it's in many garbs, right? All these are representatives of Krishna only. These are all incarnations of Krishna only, but in different forms, right? Different garbs, and it was all expanding, unlimited. Matlab, it was not complete at all. Wherever Krishna Arjuna saw it, the form started was just expanding, right? And it never stopped expanding, as in it was unlimited, it was infinite. Can you imagine? Right? Yesterday also, I mean, in yesterday's class, Krishna says, right, 10th chapter, Krishna says, with a single fragment, ekam shena sthito jagat, with a single fragment of my energy, I pervade this entire universe, and my vibhutis, my opulences are infinite, they are limitless. What's the use of explaining all of that? So here also it was all expanding. The expansion never stopped, right? Wherever there was space, it was just expanding, right? So, and this is after all material universe. Krishna's unlimited opulence cannot, this material universe cannot hold it. The space is very less compared to the spiritual universe, right? So this is what Arjuna saw. If hundreds of thousands of suns rose up at once into the sky, they might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. Can you imagine? It was all illuminating, right? The form was illuminating. You can see, right? The radiating, the radiance of the form, right? So if hundreds of thousands, 100,000 suns rose up at once into the sky, can you imagine the kind of light, right? That was the kind of light or the effulgence Supreme Lord was producing through his universal form. At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. So it's the same universal form of the Lord, okay, that rules over different departments of the universe, right? Like fire god rules over the fire, Agni Dev, right? Varuna Dev over the ocean and all the water bodies, Indra Dev over the rain and heaven, right? So but they're all segregated, right? They are all fragmented expansions of the Lord, or incarnations of the Lord, right, which rule over different departments. But in the universal form, all of them have come together. That is what Sanjay is observing here, right? In this universal form, everything has come together. Like Shiva stays in Kailas, Brahma stays in Brahmaloka, but here Shiva, Brahma, everybody has come together, right? It's like one big package. And that's why Krishna says, whatever you wish to see in this world, you can see in this universal form, Arjuna, Krishna says. And also in this universal form, there is nothing that does not exist in the universe. Can you imagine? There is nothing that does not exist in this universe. That's the kind of universal form it is, right? Everything in the universe. And so that's the opulence of the Lord. That's why Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. I am the origin of everything and everything emanates from me, he says, right? In yesterday's chapter we saw. That is the Lord's situation or Lord's position, right? Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna began to pray with folded hands, offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. See, can you imagine? So now Arjuna started getting scared, right? So he saw the form and now he started getting scared because of the kind of expanding. It was all expanding. It was so magnificent, right? So much of radiance, and he got scared. So much of eyes and ears and faces, you can see, right? Can you just see this universal form, right? In the picture we can all see. So he Arjuna just began to pray with folded hands, offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. He's shocked, he's bewildered. Wherever he sees, he just sees the universal form. He's not able to see the sky, he's not able to see anything around. So he got scared, right? He got scared. And so he starts observing, he starts offering prayers to the Lord. What does he say? My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled together in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and many sages and divine serpents. So Arjuna says, in your body, can you imagine, in Krishna's body, everything is just manifested, right? Everything, all the demigods of various other living entities, not just demigods, all the living entities, yakshas, rakshasas, everything, literally everything is there in the universal form of the Lord, or the body of the Lord, right? It's just the body of the Lord. Brahma is sitting, Shiva is sitting. It seems that Arjuna saw in the eyes of the Lord, right, of the universal form. One eyes was sun and one eyes was moon. So actually sun and moon are the eyes of the Lord. This is also one way to remember the Lord, right? When you see sun, you think of the eyes of the Lord, right? So, O Lord of the universe, I see in your universal form universal body, many forms, bellies, mouths, eyes, expanded without limit. There is no end, there is no beginning, and there is no middle to all this. It's the whole sky is covered and it is circular, right? Earth is circular in shape. So there is no end to it. He's not able to identify the end, middle, or beginning to it. Can you imagine? And it has no beginning or end because it's just going on filling up the sky, the cosmic space, right? So your form is adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, which is fairy and immeasurable like the sun. Can you imagine? This is the reason why we cannot see the Lord with this kind of charma chakshu or the human eyes, because of the effulgence. This much of light our eyes cannot take. Forget about this ultraviolet rays of the sun itself, we cannot take. If those rays fall on our eyes or on our body, we start developing skin diseases, right? Doctors also say this, right? So how can we see this form, which is so glaring effulgence and everything, right? So because of this reason, we cannot see the Lord, right? So it's adorned with various crowns, clubs, discs. You can see, right, in the image. So this is how the form was, and he started describing it, and he says it's immeasurable like the sun. You are the supreme primal objective. You are the best in all the universes. You are inexhaustible, and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of religion, the eternal personality of Godhead. See, Arjuna starts, these are all words spoken out of realization, not by hearted from scriptures. What we talk, right, what I talking right now, it's all just by hearted from the scriptures, right? Oh, in this shloka, the Krishna says this, in that shloka, Prabhupada written this, that's it. We just copy. But what pure devotees talk, right, it comes from their heart because they have realized, they are realized souls, right? So, that's why Arjuna is saying this is all coming out from Arjuna's heart. It's not just, from brain. What we all talk, it just comes out from the brain. That's the difference. That's why we have to read the scriptures. Because in scriptures, such pure devotees, realized souls, right? Whatever they have talked, what they have done, their history, their glories, all that is recorded. That's the reason we need to read scriptures. We can learn things only from realized minds and realized souls, right? That's why we need to read scriptures. That's why we quote the scriptures, because we have no realizations. What the maximum we can do is quote from the scriptures and take the experiences of these realized souls, right? So Arjuna is one of them. So see, look at the words coming out from his mouth, right? You are the supreme primal objective. The goal of everybody's life is Krishna. Vasudeva para Vasudeva Sarvamiti, right? Everybody's life goal should be Krishna, going back home, back to Godhead, right? Prabhupada also started a magazine with this title, going back home, back home, back to Godhead magazine, right? So that's the goal. We come to this world to go back home. So it is said, no. So basically, Bhagavad Gita, right, can be understood, or any scriptures can be understood in 3 levels. Okay, thinking, feeling, and willing, right? And thinking level, when you read these words, when you read the scriptures, you start appreciating it. Wow, just look at the words, look at the way Krishna takes care of us, right? Look at the way Krishna loves his devotees. You start appreciating it, right? You appreciate the message of Godhead. In feeling stage, that's the next stage, right? You realize the love for the Lord, as in you start feeling it in your heart, right? You actually start feeling it in your heart. Oh yes, Krishna is really loving us, right? So we understand that, and we understand that this Bhagavad Gita is not some ordinary scripture or anything. It is love letter from the Lord. What is Bhagavad Gita? There are a lot of devotees who define Bhagavad Gita. They gave just one and only definition for Bhagavad Gita. It's a love letter from the Lord, right? What is that love letter all about? Krishna shows to us how he loves us, or how much he loves us, right? We are all supposed to belong to our homes, right? That is Goloka. But we have come here, right, because of our own whatever, what do you call, illusion or whatever, right? We want to lord over the material nature. We want to enjoy without Krishna. It's all enviousness. Because of that, we have left the house like children. We are all children of Krishna. Children, when they don't like something at home, they tend to go out, right? They tend to just go out, and they say, we don't like this, we don't like that. So what parents do, they will be like, for example, this is an example my Siksha Guru always gives. So at home, say, you go to your kitchen, okay, you see your mom cooking. So you're a child and you say, oh, even I want to cook, only you are cooking. So what the mother does, mother goes to the market and gets a small toy kitchen set, right, and gives it to the child, and then says, yeah, you cook how much ever you want, you cook using the kitchen set. So the toys, right, they are also, the child goes, plays, and cooks. I mean, it's just toys, right? So it plays the game of cooking. Okay, but after cooking, using everything, all the ingredients, whatever the child wants, child uses, cooks using the toys, and then but when the child is really hungry, can the child eat what it has cooked using that toy cooking set? No, right? The child then runs back to the mother and says, I'm hungry, give me food. Mother only should feed the child later on, right? How much ever the child wants to imitate like the mother or enjoy like the mother in the kitchen cooking, right? The child cannot. That's exactly what has happened in our case. We also want to enjoy like Krishna, become Krishna. So we want to act like mini Krishnas. So Krishna says, you cannot act here. I will create a separate world for you. Like how the mother went and got kitchen set, right? So he created this material universe for us, put us here and said, yeah, now you play the game of becoming the god. So now we are becoming mini Krishnas. Everyone are acting like lords, right? I want that, I want this, creating our own life, thinking we are doing everything in our world to make ourselves happy, thinking we are enjoying, etc., etc. we are doing. But after all this, once we finish our play and once we start feeling hungry really for that real love, right? We have to go back to our mother or father, that is Krishna, our real father and mother, right? We have to go back. So what is Krishna doing? Patiently waiting in Goloka. Okay, today this soul will come back to me. Tomorrow they will come back to me. Day after tomorrow they will come back to me. What are we doing? Happily getting illusioned again and again. Despite so many instructions, we keep getting illusioned, getting entangled here and thinking what is unreal to be real and disrespecting the Lord, forgetting the Lord completely, neglecting the Paramatma sitting in our heart, right? That's what we are doing. So we are not in the feeling stage still. It takes time to come to the feeling stage. We are still in the thinking stage, reading all these shlokas and saying, wow, what nicely Krishna has written or told, has spoken. That's it. We have to come to the feeling stage. Only then we can go to the willing stage. Next is the willing, thinking, feeling, willing. What is willing stage? Implementing what Krishna instructs us in the scriptures. That is willing stage, right? It comes only after feeling. When you wholeheartedly feel the love of Krishna, in return you want to love him back, right? How you love him back? By implementing his instructions. You can make Krishna happy only by listening to him and respecting his words, right? By doing what he wants. Then he will feel happy. At home also, if you want to make your parents happy, what you do? If you listen to them, they will feel happy. You cannot do anything else, right? The same way, following Krishna's instructions or implementing is the willing stage. You actually express the love. You understood the love, but you express it by implementing each and every instruction that Krishna gives us through the Bhagavad Gita. Right? So we have a long way to go. For that, we have to start chanting. That is the only way. There's no other way. There's no other way. There's no other way. Okay? So chanting, it all begins with chanting the holy name of the Lord. Right? Yeah? And yeah, so Arjuna goes on saying, you are the origin without the beginning. Anadir Govinda. Right? And you are the middle or end. Right? Krishna also says in Vibhuti Yoga, he's the middle, he's the end, and he's the beginning of the creation. Right? You have numberless arms. The sun and moon are among your great unlimited eyes. Right? That's why Krishna's eyes are sun and the moon. And your own radiance, by your own radiance, you are heating this entire universe. Right? So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, give me a moment. Yeah, so what is Arjuna saying? By your own radiance, you're heating up the entire universe. So moon is borrowing light from the sun, is what science says. Where is the sun getting that light? Right? Where is the sun getting its light from? The radiance of the Lord, the Brahma Jyoti, or the light emanating from the body of the Lord. Right? There's a shloka in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Na tadbhashete suryo na shashanko na suryayo yadgatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. So there's a place, right? Which is Krishna's abode, where there is no electricity or fire which is used to illuminate that place. What is it rather illuminated by? The Brahma Jyoti of the Lord, the radiance of the Lord's body's light. From the Lord's body, light is always radiated. That's called Brahma Jyoti. Okay, and that Brahma Jyoti illuminates the entire spiritual world, Vaikuntha planets or Goloka Vrindavana or any of the spiritual planets. That same Brahma Jyoti illuminates the material world also in the form of sun, right? The sun borrows light from this Brahma Jyoti only, right? So that is what is used. They don't, in spiritual world, they don't have electric bulbs or anything, or fire or anything, right? No diyas or anything. It's just light everywhere. There's no night or darkness in the spiritual world. It's always light, right? It's always bright and shiny. Uh, so, yeah, and then although you are one, you are spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O great one, as I behold this terrible form. See the word Arjuna is using, terrible form. I see that all the planetary systems are perplexed. So you are one, you are spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. So the spiritual form, the universal form, is so vast that the space, right, what we see is just the layers of atmosphere, what we see in the sky, right? There's beyond the layers of atmosphere, it's darkness, right? Where the solar system lies, right? Different planetary systems lie. It's darkness actually, right? So the universal form spread till there also, beyond what Arjuna could even or, I mean, not Arjuna, because now he's got divine eyes, he can see, but beyond what earth residents can see, right? Even beyond that, there's the sky, right? The sky is very high, right? So it spread there also. That's why here it is fully dark, you can see in the background, right? So now Krishna is saying, Arjuna is saying, throughout the sky, in between the spaces, in between the planets, there is space, right? The ethereal space. There also the universal form has spread. Because of that reason, what is happening? All the demigods and all other planetary system people, right? They are perplexed. They are like they are seeing it for the first time. Everybody is seeing this universal form for the first time. They're like, what is this? Who is this? They are also being perplexed. So now that's why Arjuna is saying this is a terrible form, right? What we want to do is feed him, right? Put him to sleep, dance with him, play with him, right? Worship him like that. In this universal form, can you do all that? Can you go and dance with the universal form? You can't do that. Can you feed the universal form? How many mouths will you feed, right? So devotees always want to offer devotion service. In this kind of form, we cannot offer devotion service, or we cannot love the Lord. That's why Arjuna is using the word terrible, right? And all the demigods are surrendering, right? And entering into you. You can see, right? Arjuna is saying all that. All the demigods are surrendering and entering into you. They are very much afraid. And with folded hands, they are praying to the Lord, right? And they are crying out to the Lord for protection. They do not know this, what is happening, what form is this, right? So they are crying, and with folded hands, they are seeking protection. The mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are distributed at seeing your many faces, eyes, arms, bellies, and legs, and your terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I. So Arjuna is saying, I am also disturbed, right? Nobody wants to see this form. So Arjuna is like, he only asked to show, but now he understood, okay, that this form, he cannot bear it, right? So he is like, I don't want to see this form anymore. I'm also disturbed. So he says, he requests, oh, all pervading Vishnu, I can no longer maintain my equilibrium seeing the universal form, right? Seeing your radiant colors fill the skies and beholding your eyes and mouths, I'm afraid. So now Arjuna is very afraid. He's not able to maintain his mental equilibrium. So he asks Krishna come back to his normal form, actually the Narayana form. Okay, so all the sons of Dhritarashtra along, no, now before, so why is Arjuna actually getting scared? This is the reason. In some corner of the universal form, he's seeing fire from the mouth of the Lord. Okay, from the mouth there is huge fire, and he can see all the sons of Dhritarashtra, that is the Kauravas, right? And the supporters of the Kauravas, who all the kings fighting in the Kauravas army, okay, including Bhishma, Drona, Karna, they're all, and all the soldiers are going into the mouth of the Lord, and that mouth has fire, and they're entering into that mouth, and Krishna is chewing them, crushing them with his teeth. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? That means they're all dead. right? So Krishna, I mean Arjuna is seeing the future. What is he saying? The result of the war is what Krishna is saying. I mean Arjuna is saying. Krishna is showing him. So Krishna told, no, there's nothing in this existence which the universal form doesn't have. That means universal form has the past, present, and the future. So Arjuna is seeing the future. What is he seeing? All these opposite party, everybody is dead. Everybody is going to get crushed, and they are going to lose in the war, and Pandavas are going to emerge victorious. Okay, and this is the truth that he saw. Right, as the rivers flow into the sea, so all these great warriors enter your blazing mouths, which and perish. Blazing mouth, it's full of fire. Okay, and perish. They perish completely, right? And look at the example Krishna is Arjuna is using. Rivers flowing into the sea. Rivers, they are destined to flow into the sea. How much ever you know, channel them towards other places, they ultimately they flow from a very long distance just to go and merge in the sea, right? Same way, because these warriors are all following adharma, they are destined to be perished by the Lord himself, right? And so they are all entering into the mouth as though they are completely destined to get killed by the Lord, right? So they are entering into the mouth of the Lord. Can you imagine? So the blessed Lord said, time I am. So because of this, Krishna talks about death. Because Krishna is the one who also comes in the form of death, destroys everything. Mrityu sarva harashchaham, Krishna says, right? With in one moment, through as death, everything is destroyed. Everything is destroyed. We build a house, okay? We take, like, say, years. We save money and all that, resources, everything. We build a house, okay? And but after that house, I mean, will you be able to live in that house all your life? No. One moment of death perishes, destroys everything. Your wealth, your property, your jewelry, your friends, your families, your business, yourself, your very own body, what we are calling my body, this body also doesn't come along with us. Does a body come? It comes till the graveyard. After that, where it goes? Gets burnt or gets buried inside the ground, under the ground. That's it. This very own body doesn't come with us. What comes with us? Our deeds, right? Papa and punya. That's it. What you do matters, nothing else. So do good, do devotional service. So your good and bad, papa punya also will get destroyed, right? Because your karma becomes akarma, and then you will have no karmic reactions to face. And then why do you have to come back to this world? We come back to this world taking rebirth, punarjanma, only because of facing karmic reactions. If you're doing akarma, then no reactions. No reactions means no rebirth. Then where are we going? We are going to Vaikuntha or Goloka, depending on how we want to serve the Lord. Right? So now Krishna says, Kalo Asmi Lokakshayakrit, right? Time I am, destroyer of the worlds. And I come to engage all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both the sides will be slain. Both the sides. Right? So only Pandavas will be alive. Only Pandavas will be alive. Both the sides, everybody will be dead. Right? So that's why Krishna is showing the future to Arjuna. तस्मात् त्वम् उत्थिष्ठ यशो लभस्व जित्वा शत्रून् भुङ्क्ष्व राज्यं समृद्धं मयैवैते निहता पूर्वम् एव निमित्तमात्रं भव सव्यसाचिन्. Therefore get up and prepare to fight. After conquering your enemies, you will enjoy the flourishing kingdom. They are already put into death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachin, can be but an instrument in the fight. So what do we understand from this? Arjuna is just an instrument doing what Krishna wants him to do. All of us are like that. The moment we are actually not individual, I mean, we don't have anything to do individually. We are all just puppets in the hands of the Lord, right? That's why I told, do not become puppets in the hands of material nature. Rather, become the puppet in the hand of the Lord, because you'll get glorification, right? If you want glorification, become the puppets in the hands of Krishna. Because Krishna's plan, all this is all Krishna's plan. He's already written it. Okay. Plan will never change, right? Plan will never change. What is the plan? all these Kauravas and all other kings should die in the war, and only Pandavas should emerge victorious. They should only be alive. Right? That is the plan of the Lord. And what is Arjuna doing here? He is just an instrument in execution of the plan of the Lord. Right? That plan is fixed. That's why Krishna says, Arjuna was sitting and crying, no, I'm not going to fight in the war. I'm not going to fight in the war. So that's why Krishna says in the next few shlokas, you might see, right? If it's there in the slides, you can see. He says, if you don't want to fight, my plan will be sure to get executed. If you're not fighting, if you don't want to become an instrument in this plan, it's okay. How many minutes does it take for me to execute this plan? I can call Sudarshan and destroy all the kings, bad kings, right? And all others, right? And execute my plan. Or I can invoke some natural calamity and, destroy these bad kings and Kauravas and execute my plan, right? He has 100 different ways to execute the plan. Still, Krishna wants Arjuna to become an instrument, fight in the war, and, for execution, plan execution, is because Krishna wants to glorify his devotees. Now, what do people say? Krishna was just a charioteer. Arjuna is the one who's fought in the war. That's what everybody says, right? That is what Krishna wants. Krishna wants to glorify his devotees. Krishna doesn't want glorification for himself. That's why when you call Krishna Yashoda Nandan, Krishna gets more happiness. If you call Krishna, he's happy, okay. But if you say Yashoda Nandan, Nandanandan, Radha Krishna, right? Devaki Krishna, Devaki Nandan, if you add his devotees if you prefix his name with his devotees' names, he gets extra happiness. He starts jumping. The more you glorify his devotees, that's the key to his heart, actually. Right? If you glorify his devotees more, if you praise his devotees more, Krishna gets more and more happiness. Right? So here also Krishna wants to glorify Arjuna, give credits to Arjuna. Right? That's why Krishna just acts like a just mere charioteer. Although he's the director of the war, he's the instructor, right? Instructing Arjuna, do this, do that, right? And he's the planner also. He's the plan maker. Still, Krishna just acts as a mere charioteer, and so that everybody will say Arjuna fought, Arjuna won, Pandavas won. So the glory goes to Pandavas. That's when Krishna gets more happiness, right? So he wants to give credits to Arjuna. That's why he's asking you become an instrument in the fight, right? So like how Prabhupada became an instrument, right? Krishna wanted to spread Krishna consciousness actually to the Western people and to all of us, right? Krishna wanted, Bhagavad Gita to be written in English, right? Until then, Bhagavad Gita was not written in English, right? Prabhupada became just an instrument, right? He just became an instrument. So he acted according to Krishna's wish. So it was actually Krishna who did all this, but credits go to Prabhupada, right? Today we say Prabhupada did that, Prabhupada did this. Prabhupada was just an instrument. Krishna wanted to give credit to Srila Prabhupada. Krishna always want to give credit to his devotees, right? So that's why we have to become an instrument in Krishna's plan. Then everything will go well. If you have your separatistic attitude, right? I want this, not what Krishna wants. You have separate ideas, separate wishes, separate plans, then it will not work out. Okay, because only Krishna's plans will work out ultimately. If you still, after even understanding all this, if you still have separate plans in mind, right? I want this at any cost. Say Krishna wants you to have some, something, okay, some car. Okay, Krishna wants you to have red color car, but you want blue color car. Okay, so you have in your mind, my desire is blue color car, blue color car. So, but Krishna wants red color car for you. Okay, even if you get that blue color car, it'll get perished or something will happen. You might not be happy with it. Something will happen. Ultimately, you'll not be happy with it. But if you go by Krishna's plans and say, whatever Krishna wants, let him give me that, I'll be happy with that, then you'll be actually happy. You'll be actually happy, right? So always let Krishna decide for you. Then what happens? You'll get happiness because Krishna decides for you based on your past, present, and future. You will decide for yourself based on only your present because you don't know the past you will let go. And even if you know only this Janma's past. What about the previous Janma's past? Right? Krishna knows everything, right? And you definitely don't know the future. So your decision will be based on only present. But Krishna's decisions for you will be based on past, present, and future. He is your father. He knows what is good, what is bad for you. Right? That's why our job is to just become an instrument in the hands of the Lord. Then we will get all the happiness. Right? So the blessed Lord said, all the great warriors, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, are already destroyed. Simply fight and you will vanquish your enemies. Can you imagine? They're all destroyed. On paper, it's already done. Right? Krishna's plan. This is just namesake execution. That's it. Right? So Krishna says you become an instrument. Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin. Right? Uh, so now Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so now, Sanjaya, Dhritarashtra, they are all, Dhritarashtra is especially worried, right? What is going to happen? What is going to happen? Dhritarashtra got the answer even before the war was fought. He knows now, oh, all his sons, 100 sons are going to be destroyed. They will all be killed, right? And now, one second. Yeah. Uh, Let me just here the content is cut, no? Let me just
Hare Krishna.
I'm sorry. Let me share the screen once more. Yeah, Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna trembled, fearfully offered obeisances, and folded hands and began flatteringly to speak as follows. O Rishikesha, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid, and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. Right? So now Arjuna starts offering prayers to the Lord, prayers to the universal form of the Lord. Right? O great one who stands above even Brahma, you are the original master. Why should they not offer their homage up to you? O limitless one, O refugee of the universe, you are invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. You are the original personality. You are the only sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You know everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are above the material modes, O limitless form. This whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. So Arjuna offers prayers to the Lord, and then Arjuna starts seeking forgiveness also to Krishna. So, looking at the universal form, Arjuna gets scared. He understood the position of the Lord, the literal position of the Lord, right? So he says, in the past, I have, insulted you. Not insulted, but he's used, right? He's addressed him in singular way, like a friend. They used to eat together. They used to play together. They used to sleep together. They used to go to places together, right? They used to always be together. So, like they're best friends, right? So that way he used to address him singularly. Oh Krishna, oh Yadava, oh my friend, without knowing your glories. Can you imagine? So now Arjuna is seeking forgiveness. So he's like, please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times while relaxing or while lying on the same bed or eating together, sometimes alone, sometimes in front of many friends. Please excuse me for all my offenses. Can you imagine? So this is the problem with universal form. You'll not get that kind of intimate relations with the universal form. So that's why, see, even Arjuna is saying, after seeing the universal form, he's like, I didn't know your glories, right? So I might have insulted you, made fun of you in front of others or alone. Please excuse me for all my offenses. Arjuna says, I might have offended you out of love or in madness. Can you imagine? So after seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I'm gladdened, but at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, your grace, bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as personality of Godhead. So Arjuna says, come back to your original form, right? This form is very disturbing. So now, O universal Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form. Now Arjuna asks the Lord to show his four-armed form or the Paramatma form. In our hearts, Krishna is present in this kind of form. It is the Vishnu form, right? Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, the four-armed form with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, lotus flower in your hands. Shanku, Chakra, Gada, Padma, right? I long to see you in that form. So Arjuna is asking, I don't want to see universal form anymore, but you come back and show me the Vishnu form, the four-armed form. Oh, best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you have ever seen this universal form. So now Krishna is saying, nobody has ever seen this universal form. You're the first one, and with you only all entire universe saw this form, right? For neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charities or similar activities, one can see this form. Only you have seen this. Can you imagine, right? Your mind has been perturbed upon seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free from all disturbance. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you want to see. That is the Shanku Chakra Gada Padma. This is the form Arjuna wants to see. So now Krishna shows this form, right? The Vishnu form or the Paramatma. In our hearts, he's present like that. Now, Sanjaya said, the Supreme Personality of Lord, while speaking to Arjuna, displayed the real four-armed form, and at last he showed him the two-armed form. After the Vishnu form, he comes back to his personal form. His personal form is the Krishna form. What is the Krishna form? Two-armed Shyamasundara form of the Lord, right? So now the Krishna says, Arjuna, the form which you are now seeing, that is the Krishna form, right? The universe, the Shyamasundara form, the real personal form. This form is very, very rare. This is what Krishna is saying. It's very, very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. The real form of the Lord, Vishnu form, universal form, it's easy. Universal form, everywhere you can see in the entire nature, right? Vishnu form is also okay. But Krishna form, right? That's very difficult. Krishna says, this form, it's a human-like form, which is the original form of the Lord, right? It's very beautiful, and not everybody can see this. It can be seen only by pure devotees of the Lord, which have prema chakshu. The eyes should turn, the normal eyes of us should turn into eyes of love. Only then we can see the two-armed form of the Lord, the Shyamasundara form, right? With the peacock feather, this form that we are seeing. This is the real form of the Lord. This is the real form of the Lord, right? With the peacock feather, the bluish black complexion, two hands, right? With the flute, the cowherd boy form of the Lord, right? This is the real form of the Lord. भक्त्या त्वा अनन्यसाख्या अहम् एवं विदो अर्जुन ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च तत्त्वेन प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Can you imagine what is Krishna saying? Only by unalloyed, undivided devotion service, Ananya Bhakti it's called. Only by Ananya Bhakti we can realize this form. At the end of doing Ananya Bhakti, right? If you are doing devotion service properly, as a result, you get to meet the Lord face to face. And which form of the Lord will you meet? This personal form of the Lord. The two-armed Krishna form, right? It's very, very difficult, although. But when you see this, you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. We can understand Krishna easily. Matkarma kran matparamo madbhakta sangavarjitaha nirvaira sarvabhuteshu yasa mamyeti pandava. My dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of previous activities and from mental speculation, who is friendly to every living entity, certainly comes to me. So, how to go to Krishna? Krishna starts explaining, right? Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, free from all the contaminations of previous activities, past karma, right? How to get rid of past karma? Krishna explains in the 18th chapter, right? Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam raja. So he explains in 18th chapter. So only such people who are free from the contaminations of previous activities, past karmic reactions, and from mental speculations, thinking, right? Thinking using our own logic. Those people who are free from all this and who offer pure devotional service all the time to the Lord and who are friendly to everybody, not having enmity at all, and not doing bad to others, right? Only such people can go to the Lord. Can you imagine? Can go to that personal form of the Lord, right? The summary of the chapter is Arjuna requests Krishna to show the universal form. Krishna describes the universal form. Arjuna sees the universal form, right? Experiences the universal form. And also, Krishna explains why this universal form, what's the difference between the three forms of the Lord, right? And which form is the greatest? That is the personal form of the Lord, or the real form of the Lord, the two-armed Shamasundara form. Okay. Now, any questions anybody has? Any questions? No questions? Okay, then we can end the class. Tomorrow we will learn last chapter of Bhakti Yoga. Okay, so please do join. And then Krishna talks enters into Jnana Yoga from 13th chapter. Okay, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining.